right, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Man to Man podcast. Once again, the thing that we used to play after the 30 seconds, it's gone. I don't know where it is, so we're just doing the countdown at this point. So what's up, Tom? You a little bit late, a little bit more laid back today. Are you ready to head down to Tampa and just get mad, or like, what's up?
No, I'm a little bit better now. I'm more drained than anything. Today's been super, super busy for me. But how are you doing? How are you holding up?
Staying busy. Oh, you know me. I'm always great. So yeah, today is episode 6. Like I said, we do 2 a week now. So like I said, one will always be Monday, and we'll probably do most Thursday night, but we may change it to a Wednesday or a Friday every once in a while. But today we're going to get into a little bit of a sports current events right off the bat, and then get right into the very early look for NFL free agency this offseason. So, Tom, if you had one word to describe this year's class of free agents, what would you describe them as?
One word. Okay, I'm making sure it's one word. Super powered. That's going to be my word. There are so many studs this year that
I don't know if that counts. I think you lose the trivia point for that because super powered is definitely not one word.
Yeah, it is. What are you talking about? Super powered?
Super powered.
Yeah.
It's not a word.
Well, then I made it a word.
It's a book, so maybe. All right. Okay, go on.
There's so
super
many
powered.
Super powered. I was going to say star-studded, but I didn't want to get yelled at. So there are just so many like top tier players or household name guys this year than we would ever really see in other years, because a lot of guys who are household names on teams sign extensions before they ever hit free agency. But this year, that's not the case. So there's going to be a lot of big names moving this offseason.
Yes, it should be a very interesting offseason. Like I said, we will get into that. But first, as always, we have to do today in sports history. In 1878 today, the first bicycle club was formed, named the Boston Bicycle Club. Typical Boston people just finding clubs to join. Unbelievable.
Was that a direct from last week?
I think it was from Monday last week, the last 12 years of my life. So today in 2001 was the 50th NBA All-Star Game. It's so crazy they play that so much earlier now, or so much earlier than it is now. In 2001 was the 50th NBA All-Star Game at the MCI Center in DC. I believe the MCI Center is renamed, or it's not the MCI Center anymore. And the East beat the West 111-110. Can you guess who the MVP was, Tom?
I don't think that's a fair question to ask because I have the.
It was a point guard.
Here. No.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot you have mine. Yeah.
I have that.
I was going to give you all the thing. Yeah, okay. I always try to send you the outline. Then, like, I didn't put in my answers to the trivia, did I?
I don't think. We have golf trivia, but that's all you have listed there. So no, you did not send me.
So once I make the outline, and then like I put some of my comments and my questions on mine. So I don't know. That's how I do it. But so Allen Iverson was the MVP. Allen Iverson was the MVP. Funny story about Allen Iverson. He was like the first person to ever wear like the sleeve and like the leg sleeve and all the stuff. And so I was in like 3rd or 4th grade back then when he was good. And so I really wanted to wear like a sleeve like him. So I had my big blue soccer socks that I just cut the ankle on, and I would play basketball with a sock on my arm. And I thought it was a sleeve. It was pretty sweet.
That's kind of dope. I'm not going to lie. That's kind of a power move.
Our team colors were also blue and white. We also all wore green headbands because in 2003, that's when LeBron got drafted. Or 2002 was the year before LeBron got drafted, and he kept wearing the NBA green for St. Mary. So, just a funny story about my life. we have that. A new one I don't think you have. I put it in late. The Tate Martell update. I did this a little bit on Fourth and Long podcast. I'll keep doing it on there, and I'll also keep doing it here. We just all have to learn where Tate Martell is. After entering the transfer portal again, UNLV looked like the favorites to land Martell. He's from Las Vegas, and if he moves back home, I think could be good for him. So that's your update on Tate Martell. What do you think of Tate Martell, Tom? Do you even know who it is?
Yeah, no, I know. I watched QB1 when he was on there with Jake Fromm, and I always forget the third kid, the kid that went to Wake Forest. I mean, Tate Martell was one of the more talented high school quarterbacks, I think you could say, but he's been a burnout since going to college. So hopefully, maybe you don't think so.
I don't think he was that. I don't think he was that talented. I mean, I mean, what school did he go to? What's it called? Whatever that school is in Nevada. Yeah, whatever that school is in Nevada.
Oh, crap, that's gonna piss me off.
I just looked it up. Hold on. Bishop Gorman.
I knew it was some weird thing, and I didn't want to mess
Bishop
it up.
Gorman. I mean, they're basically like the small West version of IMG Academy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we need to figure out where Tate Martell was. We found him. All right, so like I said, we're going to get into some current events. I haven't written down. Tom is going to update me on the first one, actually. Tom, you go ahead and take it because we just talked about this off screen. So go ahead.
Yeah, so the Dallas Mavericks, I think a day ago now or 2 days ago, announced they were not playing the national anthem before their home games. 2 days ago?
Yeah, I think it's 2 days ago, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They announced they would not be playing their national anthem before their home games at all this season, to which the NBA promptly put out a statement saying that all teams were required to play the national anthem before the game due to the longstanding league policy. So Mark Cuban played it last night versus the Atlanta Hawks and said, we're going to play it because we have to, basically. But for those guys that don't want to, stand for it or do anything to acknowledge it, they don't have to because we respect their decisions.
Yeah, I didn't know. I always knew Mark Cuban was always more out there as an owner, pretty far leaning right. I would say. I didn't know he was that far leaning right. I guess I'll say that. But one of the better stories with him was when he picked up Delonte West a couple months ago. Hopefully Delonte West is all right, man. He did not look good, but
yeah,
that's what happens when your life goes out of hand. But I didn't know Mark Cuban was that far right, and I mean, I bet you he could have got away with just not playing it, and the league wouldn't have done anything really. But I mean, I guess it's just you pick and choose your battles. So
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic because actually we were talking about it a little bit in my media law class today. If the government had came out and said you had to play it, that's an infringement on the First Amendment rights. But because it is a private league and the league is telling them that they have to play it, they're allowed to kind of forbid them from not playing, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, I'm sure you'll learn about it and stuff, or you already know. But to get into the business side of that and everything involved in that, but I don't know anything about that. I never will, and I never want to. So maybe you do, Tom, but I don't.
I stay as far away from the NBA as I can. You know this.
That's true. We do. We have golf trivia today instead of basketball trivia.
Yeah, we still haven't done NBA trivia. We've done college basketball. We've done football. Now we're doing golf.
We did lacrosse. Okay. All right. On to
next week is cricket. One. Who even knew?
Oh, we are definitely going to do a cricket one. I can guarantee you that because I actually know. I vaguely know the best cricket player ever's name because it was in pop culture for a while. I remember him. It was I obviously know. Okay, to move on. All right, so we were talking about this before off mic as well. The Super Bowl parade in Tampa. They actually went to a river. interesting. And Tom Brady, I'm sure everyone's seen it by now. And like I said, one day hopefully we'll be able to upload clips. I'm working on it, but Tom Brady completed a throw of the Lombardi Trophy it was Mike Evans's boat, right?
It was his or Gronk's. I think it was Gronk's.
Well, I think Mike Evans was on it though, wasn't he? It was like Probably. Mike Evans, Gronk. It was like Mike Evans, Gronk, Winfield, and like Cameron Brate. Yeah, Brate, and then Godwin in his feet. Okay, yeah.
My man Tom Brady really said "yay" with the Lombardi Trophy.
We talked. Like I said, we talked about it. First of all, that throw, like I said before, some insurance adjuster somewhere, or like Roger Goodell, or someone, as that was happening, was like literally like had his knife and was just like, I can't do this. This is terrible.
I'm coming for you, Tom. Yeah, I swear to God.
I mean, can you imagine if that would have gone in the water? I guarantee you the Roger Goodell would have paid the city of Tampa like billions of dollars to have them drain that river just so they can go down and get a muddy trophy.
Well, I mean, you got to remember a couple of years back when Gronk was celebrating with the team at the Red Sox field, and he was playing baseball with Julian Edelman, and he dented the trophy. It would have been – I didn't think Brady would go as far to one-up Gronk in anything. But if he had dropped it in that river, he would have one-up Gronk there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about this too, but I don't like the Patriots. We both don't like the Patriots. But after Tom Brady's him having a great time with that parade. Out of all the Super Bowl parades, I've never watched them. But I've seen pictures from pretty much all of them. He keeps his cool. He's classy. Tom Brady was finally like, Belichick is gone. I don't have to do. There's no warlord over me now. I'm on the beach. I'm ready to party. And
the other viral video that came from that was when he was getting carried away from the boats. I sent you the picture of it before. He's getting carried away, and he's like, oh, he's got his sunglasses on. He's got his hat. He's just sitting here laughing while the dude's holding them. And when he was asked about it, I think when he was still on the boat, he's like, Tom, what happened to you? How were you like this? And he went, I had a little bit of that avocado tequila.
Did you see his tweet?
Yeah.
Did you see LeBron's response to it?
Yeah, yo, he was ready. Homeboy was like, I'm going to be there with you.
We both agreed, and Tom Brady, not only is he the best winner of all time, now I respect him more than I used to.
Yeah, he definitely gained some likely points for me.
Yeah. So
the other thing that I saw. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
The other thing that I saw was from, I think, 3 to 4 of his other teammates. I know Leonard Fournette and Mike Evans were 2 of the 3 or 4, said that Tom Brady is the best chugger they've ever seen in their life. And I'm like, no way. You go, Tom. Yeah, bro. He went to Michigan. You got to remember.
It was in the 90s.
He went to Michigan, though. And everyone, I told you, there are at least 3 to 4 people that said he's the best chugger I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, with all of this that we've just discussed and talked about, my feelings for him have greatly improved, and my respect for him has skyrocketed even higher, which I don't understand how that was possible because I've always respected his game, but it's skyrocketed.
Also, another odd thing that I kind of saw, but Leonard Fournette and Mike Evans are on the same boat. Those dudes are going to look the same that they look right now when they're 57 and 60. They look like old men, but are phenomenal athletes. And then they're going to be 65 and they're going to have the same face. But they just look. I mean, I remember Leonard Fournette when he was at LSU and as a high school senior. I was like, that dude's 37. What are you talking about?
He's got the bald head with the thick beard.
Yeah, he said he didn't have to cut his hair after 11th grade. It was just bald already.
He was just hanging there. He was fine.
But yes, Tom Brady, we respect you more right now. Instead of being a down on Tom Brady podcast, we're up on Tom Brady right now. You can sign with the Browns, and I'll still cheer for you. If you go to the Patriots,
I'll root for you, Shannon.
So back to current news. The NBA is eyeing a halftime dunk contest at the All-Star game. I honestly don't know why they're having the All-Star game. I know some of the players were pissed.
I'm going to go ahead and say a lot of them were pissed, and were very vocal about how pissed they were.
Oh, okay. So explain it, because I really all I know is that LeBron said it was like a slap in the face.
LeBron said there was a slap in the face, and when LeBron does anything, all the other players follow. So everyone took to Twitter and talked about how stupid it was that they were having it. But the NBA is like, nah, we need some more money. So they're going to do it anyway. And now they're cramming a dunk contest in the middle of it, which, again, why?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anyone but like 30-year-old, like very low level player that has a lot of athleticism is the only
Aaron
one, like
Gordon.
are the only ones. Yeah, are the only ones that'll sign up for the dunk contest. Like, it's I just don't get it. I don't get the NBA. I just don't. We've said it before. I just don't get the NBA. It's like, I mean, why? They've already only coming off a month, basically a month of an off season, maybe two, and now you're going to make them play an All-Star game. Like,
yeah, give them the extra time off so that you don't piss off the players association.
I'm honestly more mad. I wish they just did, instead of the All-Star game, I wish they just did a 3-point contest and dunk contest.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and you could do that from anywhere. Like,
yeah.
What'd you say?
I mean, what I said, I'm more mad that they're. I would rather have them do the dunk contest and the 3-point shooting contest than actually play the game.
Yeah, I mean, and you can do that from anywhere. You know, you can have them stay in their little quarantine bubble of their gym and like just do it virtually. You know, set up the cameras in the 4 or 5 stadiums and just have them participate virtually. It's actually fits a lot better than having them fly out to wherever the All-Star game is and go and do it there.
Yeah. You I don't know. Yeah, you probably remember some of the earlier good All-Star games in the 2000 or that the All-Star games, the good dunk contests. They've started. I mean, they're dwindled down to nothing at this point. But I mean, when the good ones there, I remember when who's that guy that played for the War? Jason Richardson was like awesome. Nate Robinson was good. So yes. Yeah, so that was cool when they actually cared about it, and but yeah, no. I'm just gonna bring this up briefly. I'm gonna bring this up. We're moving on because we do have a lot of free agents to talk about. I'm gonna bring this up briefly because I don't know the legality behind everything. It just brings up this topic, but obviously we have the Chad Wheeler situation with his girlfriend or wife. And in my opinion, the guy is severely messed up and he should be in jail. But it brings up the question of morality to you. If Chad Wheeler is a quarterback that's throwing 50 touchdowns a year and 12 interceptions, doesn't matter. Because I've openly come out and said to people, like, first of all, I think Kareem Hunt, the one situation with him really was just the one situation. It was terrible and he's kind of made up for it. But I've always said, like, I would never cheer for Tyreek Hill, a guy like that, off the field. But if they're playing for my team, I don't care what they do around or off the field. If they play well and we win, I don't care. But I guess so that brings up, like, what's your view on it?
So my view has kind of been the same for a really long time now. I've come to the realization that none of these guys are genuinely good dudes. I mean, there are obviously some that are those good dudes.
After we just talked about how much we like Tom Brady for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Like, obviously there are some that are better, or there are some that are good. Like, a guy like Tim Tebow, he's a good dude. It's hard not to say that it's hard to say he's not a good dude, honestly. But you look at a lot of the league and you see all of these,
Is Tebow married yet?
Yeah, I think he's been married.
Oh, so he did have sex. Okay, good for him. Okay, go on.
Anyway, but like you hear about all of this, off the field stuff, and there's always something new every week, and it's just, I've come to the realization these guys aren't good dudes, and you're just kind of taking them for what they are and the baggage they have off the field. And then obviously this Wheeler situation is far beyond any of that other stuff. Because I don't know how much you know about it, but he said something that really threw me off.
I saw it all. Yeah,
threw me off, and it made everything a lot worse for him. He should be in prison, never to see the light of day again, in my opinion. The Tyreek Hill stuff and the Ray Rice and the Kareem Hunt. It's hard to really say they're all on the same level. Like you said, Kareem Hunt truly was like a one-time situation thing.
I hope. I'm just saying I hope, and that it seems like it was so far.
Yeah, so far. I'm not looking in the future. The Tyreek Hill thing, he's had some off-the-field issues before, the whole thing with his kid and girlfriend. So that he has sort of a pattern kind of like that. Ray Rice was a one-time situation too, though, and he never came back. So it's hard to put these guys all on the same level. But I think going into watching and rooting for guys in the NFL, you know that there's always going to be some type of shady stuff going on in the back, I guess. And it's hard to kind of just accept it, but you always have to have it in the back of your mind as you're watching these things. And that's why a guy like Brady is easier to root for, even though I have it for most of my life here. It's easier to root for a guy like him because he's always done it the right way. He's never gotten into tons of off-the-field issues other than the cheating scandals, which affected on the field stuff. But it's hard to scrutinize one player over another unless it's super severe like this Chad Wheeler situation.
Yeah. So that's all we're going to talk about that. Unless something obviously big news comes out or something. It just brought up a good question that I think matters, and I don't want to come off as sounding like shallow or like I don't care, but obviously this guy, I agree, the Wheeler stuff, I can't. There are things that I can't look past, but if you're able to do it and then rehab yourself, then I mean. I was an addict once, am an addict once too. If you can fix yourself, you can be fixed. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff with the Wheeler, there's nothing to do with that. And I'll say it, another guy, Randy Gregory. I'll never cheer for that guy either.
Nope.
But, all right, so we're gonna
move on to happier and more fun things to talk about.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be really happy and fun if you are a fan of UNC, Duke, Kentucky, and Kansas, because they are all unranked I tried to search it the last time they were all unranked, and it just kept coming up. Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky all unranked, but never Kansas. So I was just I don't know. They've all been ranked since basketball was invented.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. You try and think okay, when was the last time these two were unranked? Okay, now it's at a third, and now it's at Kansas, who's literally been a powerhouse in the NCAA since God knows how long. And you're like, wow, I can't think of it. Let me Google it. And then when you find nothing there, you're like, oh my God, this is insane.
But I even wonder if you look back at that's the last time I'm saying, because we do have to move on. If you look back, all the teams that were once great teams, if you ever looked at so obviously we've had Kansas now, UCLA, you could add UConn, and they would just be there was never a poll that existed that one of these teams was not in. So it's been a weird year, but I will tell you what, and we're obviously going to get, I would say about 2 weeks before March Madness, we're going to really go in on college basketball, I think. But I'm excited for college basketball more than I've ever been. A, because we didn't have one last year, and B, because this whole year is basically all I ever see at the top is Villanova, Baylor, and Gonzaga. So unless those three teams are playing, I can watch anyone else. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's been good, but I got to tell you, I am super pumped for March Madness, and yeah, we'll have to talk in the couple months, the upcoming. We'll have to talk to Randy too. We got to see what we can do for March Madness, because there's got to be something with you being there like that. So,
I had never ended up finding an apartment, so I'm not out there currently, but I'm thinking about taking a trip for my birthday, which is in March. See if I can catch a couple games.
Yeah, nice. So, but either way, it's close enough for me. And like I said, I'll do something with it if you don't want to, because I like to travel. And,
I would love to.
All right. So, next thing, real quick, college football. Notre Dame and Florida scheduled a 2031-2032 series. All I have to say about this is why the argument for like the strength of schedule every year is both overrated and underrated at the same time, because I mean, there was a point back, I don't know, 10, 15 years. There was a point 20 years or 10 years ago. I don't know, like Tennessee was ranked 13th or something, and now they're terrible. And that's what you see, these teams that schedule them for 10 years in the future. And I understand the reasoning behind it, but and you're supposed to have your blue bloods, but what if it happened? What if what happened in college basketball this year ever happened to college football? Like, all the blue bloods are bad. Like, so I just thought it was interesting that they still schedule those, and it's just weird to me.
Especially after this year. Anyway, continue.
Iowa State extended Matt Campbell his deal until 2028. This seems like this is Matt Campbell's last stand. I think he is not going to go to the NFL. He could have basically had any open job he wanted not any open job he wanted. He could have had a job in the NFL for the past 3 off seasons easily. And he has decided to stay at Iowa State, which brings up a whole conversation of, is it worth it to stay at a program and like literally build it from the ground up, knowing that you're never going to be able to be as good as the Ohio States, Alabamas, and Clemson's, because you just don't recruit it? It's just odd to me. I mean, what do you think about that? Anything?
No, I think you kind of touched on it enough for me, at least. I've always found it odd. I've never quite understood it. But honestly, good for him. If that's what he's happy doing, I'm glad that he's got a good program and job security until 2028. So good for him.
He has job security at Iowa State for the rest of his life. He's going to be like Bill Nelson at Kansas State, that they finally forced him to retire when he was like 82.
Yeah.
Or that was like, you probably don't remember that. That was the pre-Penn State issue, Joe Paterno, before he knew all the things about Penn State, which was obviously horrible. But Penn State, when he was still the coach and all the stuff hadn't come out, I mean, that dude shouldn't have been nowhere near the sideline. Yeah. It's like, and I'll say it too, this is kind of random too, but the 2 names that are coming close to being, you have to take them off TV now, Lee Corso, Dick Vitale. They're getting to that point where they're almost senile. So, hopefully they'll see this podcast and I'll be up on College Game Day next week. I will never speak to you again, talk to you again, do an interview for you ever again. I'll send you $10 every month. All right. And the last thing I had, Matt Stafford said requesting a trade was his hardest conversation. Matt Stafford, as we were talking about bad dudes in the NFL, seems like a good dude. His wife is cool. I know she had, I think, a brain tumor or something was wrong with her brain. And she's fixed and everything's good. And Matt Stafford, the last thing I'll say about him is he deserves to be on a winning team.
I'm glad that he ended up where he ended up. That's all I have to say for him.
He did his. I mean, Detroit was never good. I mean, they were okay when they had Calvin Johnson, except he only threw to Calvin Johnson because that was their only wide receiver. But he stuck through it, so I have a lot of respect for Matt Stafford. Oh, and he can chug a beer way faster than Aaron Rodgers.
100% skyrocket through the roof for Matt Stafford.
We love Stafford and we love Brady because they drink. Yes. All right. So now on to our we'll skip that article. I don't know if you read it. That's fine.
I read it. Don't worry. I got you.
We'll head into NFL free agency because we only got about a half hour to go into it. Then we want to get it to the majority of our stuff in right now before it actually hits. So I guess the best way to start this off is so we know that you explain the draft class again and you make sure you use your special word.
The draft class is super powered this week.
It's not the draft class. It's not the draft class.
Oh, I meant free agent class. Long day. Catch me a break. Super powered. Anyway, yeah, I'm doing great. Can't you tell?
Yeah.
Super powered draft class. Got a lot of big names that are more than likely going to be moving in this offseason. Are we going to go through our top 10? Is that what we're doing?
Start that off. Yeah, why don't you start that off?
All right. I have Dak Prescott as the number one free agent. Obviously, you saw what Dak was on pace to do this year for the Cowboys until he had that very serious injury.
Was that the first 4 games he passed for over 5,000 or 500?
4 or 5 games, something like that.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Dak is. You saw what he was on pace for, and then you saw how the Cowboys fell apart with him not on the field. So I think Dak is going to be a very highly coveted free agent, not only by the Cowboys to bring him back finally and pay him the money that he probably deserves. I don't know if he deserves $40 million. I'm not saying that much, but he deserves more than what they were offering.
And one thing I'll say is he's going to get paid a little bit under Mahomes' money. It's just, it's weird to think about, and I'll say this before I get into weird things we're going to do this whole free agency. It's weird to think about in 30 years what a high price is for somebody. It could be $1 billion in 30 years. So go on though. So you got Dak. I will also. We'll
go one-on-one.
Yeah, he's my number one as well. I think he is an unrestricted free agent, but I think he ends up back in Dallas. I think that's more likely than anything else because I think Jerry is going to give him the money that, and I think they're going to trade away Elliott so they can give the money to Prescott, which isn't terrible. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league, I'd say. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Dak, and also the fact that he's a quarterback just adds to the value that he brings because there are so many teams that need a quarterback this year. And
it's interesting that this is the year Deshaun Watson things is happening because those are the two you kind of create. Obviously, I think Deshaun Watson is about a level higher than Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott's in that kind of Deshaun Watson mold of Deshaun Watson, but he's 27. So, but still a quarterback who will hit the market right now. That's a top 8, 10, 12 quarterback in the league that's under 30. He's going to get money. So, biggest free agent by far. Biggest one we've had in the offseason. And I don't know, but okay.
Do you think that teams are going to knock him down pay grades for the injury?
I think if any team tries to do that, I don't think you can do it in this day and age with how much you need a quarterback. You think about it, but if you don't have a quarterback, you can't be a winning team. And if you don't have an above average quarterback, you can't be a winning team if you think about it. So,
yeah. All right.
It's going to be a weird offseason with him. Yeah, come on. We got to get this going a little bit faster. I can't be talking about Dak Prescott for 5 minutes.
All right. So my number 2 free agent is Chris Godwin, wide receiver from the Bucs. The guy, he's one of the 3 wide receiver ones that the Bucs had this season. And with the emergence of Tom Brady, we saw just how good he was. But the thing that really raises my value on him is the fact that he's put up very similar numbers with Jameis Winston at quarterback. So I really like him, and I have him as my number 2.
Yeah. Did you see the story about Chris Godwin about the Super Bowl? He's been dating his fiance for 8 years. I saw the video.
Since high school. Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I think I do have Chris Godwin. I guess he's not in my top 10 just because I don't value. We're obviously coming at this from different point of views because I don't value receivers this high right now because I'm still looking at this as a Browns fan. But he's whatever. Chris Godwin is 24. Yeah, he'll get locked up. He'll get locked up. But my second, and this is a whole nother class I really have of free agents. Von Miller. I don't think that Denver is going to be able to pay him what he's going to want. I don't think they should. Yet, I think when I was writing an article and I did a big thing on like what the Browns need to do to have a good offseason. And the more and more you see it in the NFL work, and just because it worked for Tom Brady is different, but Von Miller for me is a perfect example of like a 1 or 2 year guy, big money, 1 year, big money, come and go. And I think that's going to be huge this offseason with a lot of those almost 30 or at 30 and over age guys. But Von Miller still produces at 31 or 32. He's still a top 20 edge rusher in football. So I think that's like I said, I made it all kind of a different category, but since we're doing our top 10, yep. I think that
that I got you.
As long as he doesn't turn into Jadeveon Clowney from this year and like basically hurt himself again, which is funny because I'll have Jadeveon Clowney later, but okay. I think edge rushing is that important. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I agree. Von Miller is still one of the elite edge guys in the league. I have two problems with him. Number one is he's on the older age spectrum. He's on the older side of that in the back nine of his career. So I don't think that he's a long-term play. But if you're looking at strictly, like you said, a 1 or 2 year deal, then yes, he would elevate up my list personally. But the second problem that I have with him, sure. The second problem that I have with Von Miller is the fact that he is having a lot of legal issues in Denver. Have you been hearing about any of that? He was under police investigation for no, because it's Denver. But this was the police investigation. I think it had something to do with his girlfriend. So I don't remember exactly what it was.
I mean, if that's true, if that happens, then he is a 1 year guy. That's it. But he also still loses a lot. I agree.
Yeah. So the article from January 16th, it looks like, Broncos Von Miller facing police investigations in Colorado for undisclosed matter. So I don't know exactly what it was, but the fact that he's having that out in the press kind of brings him out of my top 10. But if everything goes away, then he would jump up.
I hear you. I guess he would drop out of my top 10 if some stuff comes up, and I would bump Godwin in somewhere, probably. But no. But yeah, but that's a good point. I got you. Go ahead.
All right. So my number 3, I got Allen Robinson here. He's I think personally, he's the most undervalued receiver in the league. You throw a ball at him in any direction of his, he's got an insane catch radius. Guy catches everything. And you look at who he's had throwing to him his entire career. It's been Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, and Nick Foles. Those 3 quarterbacks throwing him the ball, and he has consistently put up 1,000 yards whenever he plays a full 16-game season. So I am very high on Allen Robinson. I want him to go to a good team, and he tweeted the other day, I think after the Super Bowl, I think it was Monday, or actually no, it was Tuesday. Man, I really want a ring. So he's looking to make a big move to go to a contender. So he's one of the guys that I have my eye on in free agency.
Think he's going to go to the Jets if he wants to go to a contender?
No, but if he's looking for a big payday, no. I got you. I would love him. Right now, I want him.
I want him too. I said he's in my list somewhere, but I said that I would trade away Odell in some kind of package in the return with Allen Robinson in some kind of package. It's just a side note real quick. It's so hard not to compare these players to Madden right now. But I'm sorry. So if I make a Freudian slip to Madden, I apologize. But
dude,
every time when you were talking about Allen Robinson, I was like, he's 98 catching. He's 95 special catch.
He's an absolute machine when it comes to catching footballs. Anyway.
So yeah, I like Allen Robinson a lot. This is good because we have very different valuations for different positions, clearly.
Mainly because of our teams as well.
Yeah. At third, I have Brandon Scherf. I would say he's a top 5 to 6. Was he hurt this year?
Yes, I believe he was hurt, or he opted out mid-season. It was one of the two. I know he was somewhere in there. He didn't play a full 16. I know that.
Well, like I said, if anything like something I don't know or didn't see happens, but these are all my top 10 guys going into the season next year, assuming they're perfectly healthy and everything like that.
Yeah. I got you. I put my list together the same way.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I have Brandon Scherf. Like I said, I think what the Tampa Bay line did this year for Tom Brady and how they won the Super Bowl with a 1-year guy, I think that like quarterback's obviously the most important, and then it's usually like offensive line, then defensive line, like that. I think offensive line this year moved up to another elite level. Like if you have an offensive line, obviously if you have a guy like Tom Brady, it's easy. But if you have an offense, like if the Browns had a great offensive line, like Tampa Bay did, they probably would have done better. The Browns do have a great offensive line.
I agree. Linemen's going to go skyrocketing up because of everything that happened this year. We're going to see it like it used to be, because when an offensive lineman hit free agency, they got locked up by their team for 5 or 6 years just because it was such a commodity.
All right. So you can go ahead with your number 4.
Yep, I got another receiver here. One, Kenny Golladay. Now, do I believe Kenny is going to be hitting the free agent market? I do not, because they're going to franchise tag him if they can't reach a long-term deal with him. But if the off chance happens that he hits the free agent market, you got a guy who's off his rookie deal and in his prime playing at a huge level on the Detroit Lions. So imagine putting him on a better team like the Browns or the Bengals potentially if Joe Burrow comes back healthy, or the Ravens by chance, let's say. It's going to be scary to see him move if he moves. So that's why I have him at 4. He could not even be a free agent or be on this list, but in the off chance he does, that's how highly I value Golladay.
Yeah, I guess they got Goff now, who I guess they look at as a younger piece, but Detroit's not a team that's like normally invests money in receivers, I guess. And with the Goff contract coming onto their books, or at least a large portion of it, they might not have the money that Golladay is going to be looking for, and that's where the franchise tag would come in. But that franchise tag's expensive. Well, and the Lions have drafted horribly last year, or was it last year or the year before? Jeff Okudah from Ohio State was
horrible.
Talk about a dud, yeah. At 4, I have Hunter Henry. Like I said, we obviously vary in our valuations of different positions.
I have Henry, guys in my top 10, but sorry.
Yeah, it's just I get it. Yeah, Hunter Henry. I think he's 26 or 26, 27. Yeah. So he's on. You would say the back 3 of the back 9. So he's still good to go. He's young. He's actually a better blocker than most think, especially if he gets out on the edge. And once again, you really should. I don't know if you did or not. You should really read my generational article about NFL changes all the time, but it's interesting. But with how we just talked about how with the Super Bowl, with Tampa Bay, with their line, you're also going to see how easy it is to have a dominating tight end soon. If you can make a dominating tight end, and Hunter Henry's got the size. He's just a little bit slower, but he's about as fast as Gronk. He's got the muscle. So he just needs to stay injury-free. And like I said, I think a pass-catching tight end that can block above average is, it's crazy.
Yep. I'm a very big Hunter Henry fan, so I agree with you.
It's also it's a big bummer, but George Kittle's not going to hit the market. That would have
He's
been,
never leaving.
I agree. He's never leaving San Francisco either, but I would trade Jarvis Landry and Odell for no, I can't. It's okay. I'm not getting into that. Go ahead. Who's your next one?
So for my number 5, I got Trent Williams. Speaking of the San Francisco 49ers, 8-time Pro Bowler. Did he get 9 this year? Did he get it?
I don't think he played.
I don't think he got it.
I'm thinking of who's the Cowboys left tackle, Tyrion Smith. Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking of. I have no idea about Trent Williams.
Either way, Trent Williams is an 8-time Pro Bowler, potentially 9 if he got it this year. He improved that San Francisco line so much and gave him such a big asset. He's probably, again, another guy probably not going to hit the market. I'm sure they're going to try and lock him up, and he's going to want to go back because they took the chance on him to trade for him. And, guys kind of like that, especially after how he left Washington, where he was flustered because of how they handled. I think he had a brain tumor or some.
There's something. Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
So he had something going on in his head, and the team doctors at Washington dismissed it. He was flustered. He didn't want to be in Washington anymore. The San Francisco 49ers gave him a second chance. So he's probably going to return, but he's a guy. He's my favorite offensive lineman overall that's coming out this year.
Yeah, he when he was in that little thing with the football team now, I think this was before we got Odell, I believe, or maybe the same year or after. I don't know. But he had that thing with Washington. I mean, the amount of things online I would see from Browns fans and Browns people saying that we should trade for Trent Williams. And luckily, he got lucky and drafted Jedrick Wills. But, I mean, another story, different day. So my number 5, I also have a offensive lineman, and I also doubt he'll hit the open market. Corey Linsley. The center for the Green Bay Packers, a guy from Ohio State, I think. Yeah, he's from Ohio State. He basically controlled that line of scrimmage. Him and another trend that we're going to see, I think, is centers are going to start getting paid a lot more because Ryan Jensen, whatever his face name is, was center and look what it did. But that's. But like I said, I think. Can you hear me?
Yep. Your video is frozen. All right. There
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry. What was I talking about?
Center's getting paid more. Ryan Jensen.
Oh yeah, centers are going to get paid more because you can see that, and I think it's easier, in my opinion, to draft a tackle and find the interior lineman in free agency. So that's why I have him up there. He had an incredible season with Green Bay. I mean, their offense had an incredible season. But I don't expect him to hit the open market. I think he turns 30 this year. So that would, to me, that's in the range of another 1 to 2 year deal type guy. But I think he'll end up going back with the Packers. And once again, Aaron Rodgers is he got engaged.
Yeah, I was so surprised by that. I was like, what? He's dating someone?
Shailene Woodley. Yeah, Shailene Woodley, the chick from the movies. I like her. I don't like girls that Aaron Rodgers dates, though, except for Olivia Munn. I love her. Okay. But yeah, if you look at Linsley and Batharaki, or however you say them, they're going to want to bring back that offensive line for as long as they have Aaron Rodgers to see if they can squeeze a Super Bowl out of him before he moves on or retires. So I got Corey Linsley. I'll go ahead with number 6. Another younger player to me who, if I was a team, I would look to lock up for 3 or 4 years. And also his stock, if anything, it moved up a little bit this year, but whatever. Leonard Williams, he can play edge, or in a 3-4 scheme, he can play edge, and then in a 4-3 scheme, he can play interior. He's only 26. He started with the Jets, correct? And now he's with the Giants.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, you like him then.
I was so pissed when we traded him for a third.
Yeah,
there was no reason for it, but anyway.
Yeah, I think to me he's more of like a power rushing guy. So if you're the Chargers or the Browns or the 49ers and you already have that speed guy, then you put him on the inside or on the other side with the power guy. And so someone with like the Browns, him and Myles Garrett would be huge, or him and Joey Bosa, or him and Nick Bosa, or Danielle Hunter, those guys. So, I really think I think he'd be a good addition, and he's still young. And I think he had problems with behavior, if I'm wrong, in his early years.
Yeah, he got caught doing like 120 with his 6-year-old daughter in the car while also having firearms in the car. So, yeah, he was a little bit of a wild child. It seems like he reined it back in, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't seen him in the news at all. I'm sure you see him in New York because everything in New York is news. But I've seen him, and like I said, he would be a great – because I don't think his money is as high as Von Miller or someone like that. But if you could sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, like $12 million, $10 million a year, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually think the Giants are going to give him a very similar deal to that because he's been great for them. He's been the edge rusher that they've needed. They just need more of it. Anyway, so now
actually, fun fact about the Giants, they had like the best red zone defense in the NFL last year.
Yeah, I saw that.
Or I guess they were the best at like holding their opposing offenses to field goals.
Yeah, the field goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I saw that and I was kind of surprised. I think I saw it on NFL.com or something.
And I'm sure you don't like talking about it, but I mean, the Giants' near future is looking a lot better than the Jets right now.
100%.
So, I mean, that's why we'll get into it in the draft, but pairing him up with an offensive tackle, pairing Daniel Jones with an offensive tackle or a wide receiver would be huge for the Giants. But, yeah. So that was Leonard Williams. Go on.
All right. So
6 and 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my 6 was Brandon Scherff. So we already talked about him a little bit. Yep. So number 7, a guy that's 100% not hitting the open market, Lavonte David.
Okay, good.
He's 100% not hitting the open market, but he could demand a lot more money than Tampa has based on his play this year. So maybe he goes somewhere, but I'm sure that he'll take a pay cut. I forget exactly who it was. I want to say it was Mike Evans came out and said he will take a pay cut to get money to all the guys that they have in free agency so that they can bring everyone back. So again, there's like 99.99 continuous % chance he's not going anywhere, but there is that one small little sliver that he could go somewhere else.
So I'm just going to say this guy, and then number 7 is kind of on the same things that I actually do think Lavonte David could hit the open market.
Really?
You have to look at it from a more – I mean, I know Bruce Arians kind of thinks about football differently because he's an old school guy. But going forward, there aren't – I mean, he's a coverage linebacker, but Devin White is a pretty good coverage linebacker. So if they had to choose between Lavonte David and my number 7 guy, Shaq Barrett, I think they would sign Barrett, White, and then JPP or whoever. So
here's
my number 7 player is Shaq Barrett.
I went the opposite way than you. I feel that they're going to want to build that linebacking duo with the 2 young stars between David and White, because while David is, yes, primarily a coverage linebacker, we saw him in the Super Bowl go down and get dirty and go get hits on Mahomes. Same thing with Devin White, who's an all-around superstar. I feel that they're more confident to go get a guy like Leonard Williams, who's going to want to go win a ring. And he's going to be cheaper than what Shaq Barrett's going to ask because of how great of a season he had this year.
I disagree because, okay, how many teams really so even if you have Lavonte David, who would you rather have as your extra linebackers, so per se? So they have Devin White than Lavonte David. Would you rather it be – I would rather it be Devin White and Derwin James, Devin White or Tyrann Mathieu. See, I think the age of 2 middle linebackers playing in the same system or on the same team, being elite is almost going to become obsolete because I don't think you need it in the future of the NFL. Whereas with Shaq Barrett, I mean, you saw it in the playoffs as well. I hope they don't have to choose between both those guys because both those guys deserve their money.
Yep.
But I think with where the NFL is going and how Shaq Barrett is almost 4 years younger, I think Shaq Barrett's only 20. No, he's almost 28, so he's 2 years younger. I mean, that's a lot of time difference, and I think an outside linebacker, edge rusher, will going forward is more important. But that's cool. I like the pick of David too. So that was my 7th. You can go to your 7.
So I already did my 7 with Lavonte David. So I'll move to my number 8, and I'm going to jump to 9 because my number 8 is Hunter Henry. We already talked about him. Absolutely love the guy. Can do it all, and I think he has the ability to be more of a receiver like we saw when he was a little bit younger. Anyway, so I'm going to jump down to my number 9, which is Justin Simmons, the safety from the Broncos. Safety is one of those positions that's going to be in high demand this year, I believe. Yes.
All right. So you have Simmons at 9, and who's at 10?
Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams. Okay. So I have 10 Allen Robinson, 9 Johnny Smith, a tight end, 8 Justin Simmons. So we can just talk about that group right now. Then fill it all.
Sure. Yeah. So Simmons, like we both have him. We both have him at 8 or 9. He's the best safety available, in my opinion. And that's going to be a very sought-after position, I believe, this year.
One sec, sorry.
Yeah. And then for your number 10, Allen Robinson, we already talked about him too. So then we can just talk about Johnny Smith, who I don't know if I can put him in my top 10. He was very streaky this year. He had a couple games where he went for big yardage, but he's not a fantastic blocker. But he's good enough. So I guess you can put him up there if a team is looking for the tight end, like you had talked about with the generational becoming of a tight end, like you were talking about with Gronk.
Yeah. I think Johnny Smith, he's only 6'3", so I don't know about you, but I like my tight ends big. I like dudes that have a big, at least 6'5" usually. But Johnny Smith is more of a natural, like NFL tight end, ever improving.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I just didn't know if you thought we could get through with that. That's fine.
Yeah, we'll just do the team needs for each of the things, then we'll do the rest later. Or whatever. We can do whatever.
We can just keep going. We're fine. God, you made me lose my thought. Yeah, and I think he's more of a newer age Kyle Pitts kind of version where he's more you line him up in the slot. But I think both of us that topped. Oh, and Simmons, he was my number 8 as well. He's higher for me because I think like a Browns fan. I think he will hit the open market because I think Denver's going to have to go into a pretty big rebuild defensively and offensively. I mean, they need to draft a new quarterback at some point. So I think they're going to be in the down, looking to get rid of big contracts.
So they may or may not. Have you been hearing all of the Russell Wilson talk that's been happening today? Apparently, Denver is in talk, well, not in talks, but has made multiple calls about him.
Hold on. I just looked him up in images, or not images. Why did I look at images? I saw he was in the news because he was taking heat from what?
So he came out into the press and said he's tired of getting hit so much, and he's tired for running for his life, which has now spiraled into apparently the Seahawks getting a bunch of calls about them potentially trading Russell Wilson. And
yeah.
They're not
looks like
not really saying no, but they're not really like committing to it because they don't want a Deshaun Watson to go up to happen. So I guess they're hearing it, but they're more trying to just talk him down from wherever he's at and just be like, yo, look, like give us some time, we'll get you a line. But he might be done. He might want out. So yeah, I mean, I've been hearing a lot of Denver for Russell Wilson potentially, and these are just rumblings. I heard him on my Facebook group that I'm in, so yes and no, but if
Wait,
Denver,
you heard Denver?
I've been hearing Denver. Some.
I want to tell you that as of today, everyone says one team.
Where's that?
The Raiders. The Raiders.
Yeah, the swap for Carr. I think I did read something about that too. I can send you the article with the.
This was just on this is on CBS Sports. It's just, could Russell Wilson be traded? There's one clear landing spot. So that's interesting about Russell Wilson. I am in the camp of that. I am in the camp that if you ask me right now if I could trade Baker Mayfield for Russell Wilson, I would do it. But I think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah, 100%. The article that I just sent you was 13 suitors. The guy that had read it and posted about it in the Facebook group was talking about the Broncos being on there.
If he goes to the Patriots, I'm going back to Alaska.
I'm watching the NFL. Yeah, no, I'm not watching.
I'm going back to Alaska if he goes to the Patriots.
Can I come?
We'll make it a road trip. Yes. Well, it's not a road trip. You just live in a van. It's great. Yes, but all I'm seeing today. So basically, we might as well just get our takes out on Russell Wilson right now because we're on it right now. So my thing with Russell Wilson is, I think he's a top 6-7 NFL quarterback right now, but I don't think he's gotten any better or any worse in about 3 years. I think he rode the backs of Chancellor, Sherman, and Earl Thomas to the one Super Bowl, and then they left and he had to do it by himself. So he got better, but at this point now he's just not progressing, whether it be because there's no offensive line, whether it be because their run game is
atrocious.
I mean, even though Chris Carson's good, I don't know how they can't run with him. And they don't really have any receivers. Tyler Lockett's almost 30.
I think he is 30, maybe 29. I don't know.
So I just think, yes, would I trade him for Baker Mayfield? Actually, if you ask me again, I'd have to think about it. But probably yes, because I think the Browns are in a win now mode.
Yep.
But
yeah,
that's interesting.
For me, I've always loved Russell Wilson because I very much value consistency, especially at the quarterback position. The way that he was when he was running around and being Russell Wilson that we know and love just provided just an absolutely insane stat number every game. And I agree. He's he's stepped away from his ability to run and is taking more of an Aaron Rodgers ability to run where he extends the play and gets the ball out. But I think that's honestly hurt him in the long run. And now he can't do that because he's getting older. So,
and I also blame the Seahawks as well because he is getting older and they have done nothing to help that offense.
Or the defense. The defense has just progressively gotten worse since those Super Bowls.
Jamal Adams was a good pickup for them, but he didn't play that great. So, yeah.
But one player doesn't change the way that defense played. It was historically bad.
It was bad.
They don't get him any line help any year. Yes, they drafted DK Metcalf. Congratulations, you got him a good receiver. He has no time to throw the ball in the pocket. He has to get out, and at that point, it's just whoever's open. So he can't even get it to DK Metcalf. You know what I mean?
You know who's probably kicking themselves right now? Sean McVay.
Yeah.
He's sitting there. He's like, I got Stafford for a good deal, but I bet I could have got Russell Wilson for 3 or 4. Did you ever see what Jalen Ramsey said about Deshaun Watson? I guess he was like said something. He was like, y'all know where he wants to go. He's going to be here in LA. He basically said he's coming to Los Angeles. And I've looked it up online, like this, the money and everything. I was like,
There's not a chance in hell.
Yeah, I don't think this could happen. Like, even if you cut half the team.
It could have happened if they traded Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Like, that would open up enough cap space.
No, see, no. I think that would have. First of all, you don't trade Jalen Ramsey, but if I was the Rams and I act like I didn't have Stafford right now, I would offer Ndamukong Suh straight up for Russell Wilson.
Ndamukong Suh?
Not Ndamukong, Aaron Donald.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what? I thought I misheard, or I was like, wait, I'm on a different planet. Anyway. Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard for me to say that the Rams are going to go trade for him or would have because they're in division. But honestly, why? Maybe a swap for Watson for Wilson could happen. Not that really improves Watson's situation, but
yeah, I was gonna say Watson just in a situation where they have a little bit better of a defense, the same offensive line, but a better
actual receivers.
This actual receiver. Oh, DK. I forgot they have DK now.
DK and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett he played really well in the first half of the season.
Yeah, he's only like 27, by the way. I don't know why I thought he was 29. He's like 27.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yo, that's great for my dynasty team. Let's go.
I was honestly thinking of it because I was thinking about Madden. I never draft Tyler Lockett, but I was like, why don't I? It's not because it's just because I don't like him.
No, I got you. But yeah, so that is our little spiel on Russell Wilson.
Yes. So obviously this is we're gonna head back into free agency. Like, I will say this offseason I think is going to be the best NFL offseason in a while. Like
it's going to remind me of that old school NBA offseason.
Yes, I was just about to say yes.
Where there's actually people moving. Yeah,
in the deadline and everything. Yes, I totally agree. I was just about to say something about that. So we're going to go over biggest team needs in the league. Did you do the NFC?
I did the NFC plus the Jets.
Okay, cool. I didn't. I just put positions down for what they need.
Yeah, so I did that because I was modeling your thing and what you did. Unless there was like a very big need or specific player. So
yeah, okay. So you go ahead first.
So I'll go with the Jets just to start off. I have 5 for them, but I couldn't really choose just 3. So a wide receiver 1 for me is my biggest need for them. Then also O lineman if you're gonna stick with Darnold or bring in a new quarterback because you don't want him to get sacked like he's David Carr. Potentially a tight end like Hunter Henry, who can do a little bit of both, and then secondary corners and linebacker help. They need a little bit of everything kind of everywhere, but with the draft capital and the cap room that they have, I think they could address at least 3, maybe 4 of these in the first couple of days of the offseason here. So that's where I'm going to go with the Jets for.
All right. I'll start with just my list. It's crazy this year being a Browns fan because I'm not hyped for the offseason. I got to tell you, it's not the same. I'll start with Cincinnati. I think their needs are very obvious. They need offensive line help, and they need a wide receiver to pair with Tyler Boyd, who is very, very underrated, but plays in Cincinnati. So,
do you think T. Higgins is going to be a factor next year too? Because I could see them having Higgins outside, another guy they bring in, and then Boyd actually plays best in the slot.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we'll see with the Bengals. Like I said, their dream scenario is that Penei Sewell somehow finds them at 5, which by more and more of the mocks I see, either Sewell goes to one of the random 4 teams in the top 4, like just someone picked them and they're like,
they're not like throw a dartboard and
So their dream is to address Sewell, I would think, in the draft, and then you can look outside for receivers. But like I said, they're young, so they're looking to more build to the draft. I would hope if I was the owner of the Steelers with the GM, that's what I would be looking to do with a young franchise quarterback, you hope. So that's Cincinnati for you. Receivers, obviously, they're going to get rid of AJ Green. they're not going to be able.
It's a shame he never did anything. Like they never won or even made it around in the playoffs.
I mean, but people forget that the Bengals were around the playoffs like every year for like 8 years. I mean, it was always them and the Steelers or the Ravens would always play in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean they'd go 8-8 every year and just got knocked out by whoever was playing first round, and that's why Marvin Lewis was still getting called on for a head coach this year.
And then those were the years when Hugh Jackson was friends with Marvin Lewis and on those teams, and then we wanted Hugh Jackson. We got Hugh Jackson, and Hugh Jackson won 4 games.
Did he win 3?
I think he was 336 and like 1.
Yikes!
Don't even. But honestly, this year was so good just because like. We didn't talk about Freddie Kitchens at all, really, even though he was god-awful last year. I'll probably talk about that sometime in the offseason. And we don't talk about Hugh Jackson. So let's get through these kind of quickly.
Yep, got you.
So you just read off your list, and then
we can go 1 and 1. I think that would just be better so that one of us isn't talking for just 10 minutes. Anyway.
Okay,
all right, I'm starting with the NFC East here. The New York Giants – I have 4. There's offensive linemen to protect Daniel Jones, bringing back Leonard Williams because of everything he did for their edge rush, a true wide receiver 1 to play along with a bunch of the wide receiver 2s they have, and a secondary corner playing aside James Bradbury.
So I'll just follow my list. It's in alphabetical order by nickname.
I got you.
So Buffalo, it's hard to see what Buffalo really needs. They could use a better running back. They could use to complement Stephon Diggs with someone not 32 years old named John Brown. And obviously on defense, they could use some help too. I think their biggest need, unless Kyle Pitts falls to them, I think their biggest need is a tight end. Josh Allen is the big type quarterback. They play in the AFC East and in the AFC East and the AFC North. Your team has to have a big pass catching tight end because that's just the way football is played in the AFC North and the AFC East. So I don't think Pitts falls to them. So hopefully you can get on with any of these tight end guys like that we already listed earlier. And this is what I was going to say earlier. I was off track, but I think this is kind of when we see the NFL's offseason turn into more of the NBA season going forward, where I think Tampa Bay signs a lot of guys to 1-year deals. And I think the Chiefs sign a lot of guys to 1-year deals. I would hope the Browns are at the point where, like, if they're 1 or 2 players away, sign to 1-year, 2-year deals. But I really think which kind of stinks, but it's just kind of the way it is because it's such an odd time in the NFL with young quarterbacks in the AFC and the old quarterbacks in the NFC. I
agree. All right. My next one in the NFC East is the Dallas Cowboys. I have 2 things they need. Number 1, and the only thing they really should be focusing on until it's done, bring back Dak Prescott. And then number 2, revamp the defense because it was atrocious.
Yeah, their defense was atrocious, and they need to get They really need to get Zeke's money off their books.
Not to the Jets, and then I'm good.
I was going to say I'm just waiting for the Jets to make a stupid trade for him.
I've already been hearing it.
I'm sorry. I promise you that because you're a Jets fan, just because the Browns have 1 winning season, I will not turn into that type of dude who's like shallow and looks down on your teams. I'm not the Patriots fan, but it's weird to talk about the Browns in the offseason and be like, yeah, I don't really know what they need. They won a playoff game last year. So
yeah, I got you.
I will move on to Denver, the Broncos. So that's behind the Bills. Okay. Denver, they could use an edge rusher. Like I said, Von Miller will probably be gone. And while Bradley Chubb is good, he's not good. Myles Garrett good or Joey Bosa good or Nick Bosa good, where you can basically be a defensive line by himself. So they could use an edge, but I think they're picking in the top 10 or right outside the top 10, correct?
I believe they're 9.
Yes. Their pick should be right now. Their pick should be Caleb Farley. He's my top ranked corner out of Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So that was the other need, but I think it's a lot easier to address cornerback needs in this year's draft.
Yep, and I agree. So they should focus on linebacker and free agency. But the other thing I could see them doing is maybe moving one of their other guys to the edge and drafting Micah Parsons, because he is all world at the linebacker position. Love Micah Parsons.
Don't talk about that, because I'm trying to think myself into a lot of situations where he falls to 26. So we're not talking about.
Okay, no, Micah. Who's that guy?
If the Browns draft Micah Parsons, we win the Super Bowl next year.
All right, I'm glad you're enthusiastic. I'm gonna go.
What else are the Browns missing, other than a middle linebacker? Other than linebackers.
I don't even know, fam.
I'm just kidding. Yes. So,
all right. Is it me? Next, I got Philadelphia. They need a true wide receiver, one, because Jalen Reagor just ain't it. They need some younger offensive linemen, because all of their guys are starting to get old.
Their guys were old when they won the Super Bowl in 2017. They're getting old now. Fletcher Cox.
They're getting like old.
Like Malcolm Jenkins is like old safety, old, like I can't tackle in the box anymore. Old.
Yeah, so and it's funny you bring up safeties. I think they need some more secondary. So wide receiver, one, linemen that are young and secondary. Healthy secondary.
Yeah, it's true. Next on my alphabetical list, I have the Browns after the Broncos, BRON, BROW. Everyone knows, everyone gets it. So I have obviously, like I said earlier, the Browns, all their needs offseason. I mean, it would be good for them to get a guy like Allen Robinson or Chris Godwin and get Odell off the books, or get something off the books. By the way, I'm also pro keep Odell if you're not going to get a defensive playmaker in, and I'm pro keep Njoku if either one of those two are not trades in a piece for a defensive.
I was just going to say, trade me Njoku. I want him.
You could have Njoku for Leonard Williams. Oh, you don't have Leonard Williams. You can have him for – I'll tell you what. You can have him for Marcus May.
I think he's a free agent, though, either this year or next year.
Who? Njoku?
Marcus May. No, Marcus May.
Njoku's a free agent next year, I think.
Well, either way. Okay,
so I had the Browns. They have seen an edge rusher, a cornerback, and a linebacker, all three levels of the defense. I would, like I said, I think the best idea is for the Browns, look at the draft for linebacker and edge, and maybe try and find a corner, unless they have a guy like J.C. Horn, or if Sean Wade has a really good combine, maybe I'll get back up on him.
They're not doing the combine, so it'd have to be a pro day, right?
Yeah. Well, then, he's out of it for me. And then a big thing with the Browns, too, is that a lot of people forget. You don't, of course, because you love him. The Browns aren't in need of a safety as bad as I make it seem. Hopefully, because they have Grant Delpit coming back this year. So
yeah.
And that when I was writing my article today, I kept he was a big part of it. I mean, that you have to think of him as, hopefully he stays healthy and everything. If he does, he's a rookie this year as well, and he's a rookie free safety who should be pretty. I mean, I can't believe he's 6'3", but yeah. And then look for either draft corner late in the draft, or look for one on the market.
Well, if you're looking for a win now guy to sign to a 1 to 2 year deal, I would not be surprised if you guys go for a guy like Richard Sherman.
Yeah,
that was the reaction I was expecting.
it seems like that, and like I'm not really pro or against it. I guess I haven't really watched Sherman play like
no one has
big time. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. All I think about is his rating in Madden, and it's like 87. So I'm like, yeah, add him. But in real life, I don't know if he's good enough to play man-to-man anymore, or to play man-to-man the way he used to.
Yeah, but between him and Denzel Ward, you guys could get a full season out of a starting corner. Just saying. Anyway,
don't sully Denzel Ward's name, man. He's
no. I love Denzel Ward. He's a top 3 corner.
He's never played a full season, but he's only missed games for concussions and COVID.
Yeah, man. I'm not disrespecting whatsoever. I think he's a top 3 corner.
Don't you dare talk bad about my Browns.
Okay. Next up, I got next up, we have the Washington football team. I have 3 things here. They need, number 1, a long-term quarterback option, because as much as I love Alex Smith and I love the story he's brought, he's not going to be a long-term answer. And the next thing is a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. You need to decide if I had his name. Who am I thinking of? Terry McLaurin. You have to decide if he's going to be your franchise guy and the guy that you're going to build around in the wide receiver room, or if he's going to be a nice secondary piece as a 1B or a 2. So you need to get someone else in there.
I would put him a 1B. He just doesn't have the physicality to be a deep ball guy. Yep. He's a lot like Godwin. He's a younger, not as physical version of Godwin.
Yeah, and I agree. So they need someone else. I think it depends on how you want to build the offense. Because if you're running short routes and intermediate routes, then he could be your 1. Whereas you bring in a guy like Will Fuller to solely be the deep ball guy to be the 2. Or you could bring in a guy like Allen Robinson and build it around deep balls like the Chiefs have.
Or option C for them. I mean, bring in AJ Green for $1 million for a year and see how it works. And if it doesn't,
I was just throwing out hypotheticals.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep. And then the third thing they need is a stud cornerback, because their defensive line and linebackers are insane. I actually really like the safety play that I watched this year, but their corners got beat on almost every route that I watched.
Yeah, I understand that. All right, so for the Chargers, I believe they're like 15 to 20 in the draft, correct? Or are they later?
The Chargers? No, yeah. I think they're 8.
Okay, so they're going to be in an awkward position because I would think so here I have their needs listed as offensive tackle, cornerback, and edge. So they can obviously get cornerback off the board there. And I don't think edge is as much importance to them as the other positions, because they have Joey Bosa, and he's in Myles Garrett to me on that level. Not as good, but on that level. So they're going to be in a tough spot. They'll probably be able to draft a corner at 8. Penei Sewell won't fall to 8. And then you have to you'd have to leap for Rashawn Slater at the tackle, or ABK.
You could trade down potentially. You can trade down to a team that has 2 first-rounders that are mid to late.
Yeah, and the Chargers are young, so they'll look to go to the draft for most of their things, and I would expect them to do that with offensive tackle too. They're not going to sign Trent Williams to a 1-year deal.
I can see them taking a corner with that 8 or 10 pick or whatever they have there, and then taking a lower end tackle in their 2nd-round pick. So like the guy from Alabama, Leatherwood, could be there. Somewhere in there.
Samuel Cosmi, but I think tackles. I think a lot of the good tackles are going to go in the 1st round this year. I think you'll be able to find steals in the 2nd round for, like I was talking about earlier. You'll find steals for like interior offensive linemen, like Wyatt Davis from Ohio State.
Yep,
is going to be very good next year at the guard level. So I mean, yeah. So
I agree 100%.
It's weird to think that Quentin Nelson basically changed that singly by himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the Chargers.
Yep. So
we're gonna finish up the team needs, and then we'll cut it there.
Yep. Totally fine with that. That's what I was thinking we'd do.
Yeah, cut it there, and then we'll bring up part 2, whatever. So probably next week, but yeah, obviously next week, because it's not gonna be like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, where like 3 years later, hey, I'm 33 now.
I'm still here. Hello.
I'm the Butler ball boy. All right.
Anyway, I'm gonna move up to the NFC North, and I'm gonna start with the Chicago Bears. Number 1, I think it should be relatively easy to figure out what they need, and that's a quarterback. Probably named Deshaun Watson if they can swing it, or Russell Wilson. by chance. Because Mitch is not the answer, Nick Foles is not the answer, and they don't really have anyone else on the books. So quarterback is their number one need. Bringing Allen Robinson back should be on their list. I don't know if he's going to want to come back.
I don't think he's going to want to come back, and I don't think he'll be high on their list either. Just keep going though.
Yeah, and then the last thing I have for them is getting some interior O linemen to open up holes for David Montgomery, because we saw the surge at the end of the season when Bill Lazor took over the play calling duties.
He's good.
He's so good when he gets in the right system. And the thing that's going to help him progress into being that guy the entire season is interior O linemen who will open up holes for him and could also protect whoever's the quarterback long enough to do a play action pass. So
then, like I said, if I'm the Bears, then this is just how I view it. I'd rather have Brandon Scherff than Allen Robinson.
Very true, especially because they're not quite up against the cap, but they're going to be really quick.
It's just like a regular question. Like, they're both going to hit the market probably. Are you the Bears? Would you rather go out? But I get what you're saying.
The only problem with letting A-Rob go is that the receivers are not as good. Was the only thing I was going to mention.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bears, they need to come to an agreement this offseason that next year needs to be a full-on rebuild. I'm looking at it right now. They have 7. They have 5 picks, and then they have 6 picks in the draft. They picked 20th in the first round. I think the worst thing the Bears, like the absolute worst thing the Bears can do, is reach for
Elijah Vera Tucker.
No, Mac Jones or.
Okay, I got you.
Kyle. Why can't I think of his name? I get off college football for 2 weeks and I can't think of his name. Kyle
Trask.
Whatever. Yeah, Kyle Trask. So that would be terrible for them. Because they'll be pressured to start him right away, and those guys aren't ready to start right away.
Yep.
And Mitchell Trubisky is a Cleveland guy, so I wish him the best somewhere else. I think he'll have a career as a backup. That's about it. I don't know if he could have been better or worse. He probably would have been better off in some other system, but I think the Bears officially. They ruined his career. So
yeah, they needed to let him sit for a couple years to develop.
Yeah, and they took him at number 2 too. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, they traded up one spot to take him, which added on to the pressure.
And then who else got drafted behind him? Oh yeah, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. All right, so I have the defending Super Bowl runner-ups, Kansas City. It's interesting to see what Kansas City is going to do this offseason. They clearly need to patch up their defense. Other than Matthew, and then Snead is a young guy, and Chris Jones is good on the interior. But they need to – so I have their biggest needs are obviously linebacker for the defense, but I think – the biggest thing for them is I think this is going to be a good year for not the best, but a good group of them that will be between the first and second rounds of they need an offensive line. They need interior. They need a center. They need a tackle. They need it all.
Yeah, I think if anyone watched the Super Bowl and took away solely one thing from it of the entire game, it's that the Chiefs need offensive line help. It's not even that Tom Brady's the best to ever do it. It's solely that they need offensive line help because it was that much more apparent than anything else.
And like, I mean, I other than Penei Sewell, I really haven't seen a lot. I mean, I've seen different offensive linemen, different places though. Like I said, they would be good too. I mean, if Wyatt Davis fell to them in the second round or something like that. I mean, I think they need to get 2 offensive linemen on their team right now because it sucks because their defense with Roquan Smith, Eddie Jackson, and Khalil Mack is now getting older. So, I mean, they're missing out on their prime.
All right. So then I'm going to go to the NFC champion runner-ups, the Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
They honestly, I was doing a full analysis of their team. They don't really need a whole lot. They need another wideout, obviously, to Devontae Adams. another weapon Aaron Rodgers can throw to, so it's not just Devontae Adams. And then they need a cornerback to play along with Alexander.
I agree with that.
They played really well everywhere else. Their line is very good. Their running game is good if they can bring back Aaron Jones, but I don't even think they need to do that because Jamal Williams, the running back.
No, I said they'll bring him back. They'll bring him back.
Probably. I don't know if they have the money to do it, but Jamal Williams, every time he got in, was looking like Aaron Jones. And you can run him and A.J. Dillon, I think, and be just as okay. Because you're not really relying on the run game like you are in other schemes. Like, it's not the 49ers. You have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's weird to see how the NFL's valuation of running backs has gone from, like, they basically would trade a top running back like 5 years ago. A top running back would go for like a 5th-round pick, and now the running backs being drafted are being valued a little bit higher. But it's always different. Like, if I'm the Browns, I'm holding on to Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb as long as I can, because that's how you keep them healthy, is together so they don't get as many carries and things like that. But it's just the running backs are weird. I think it's more important than people think, but not as important as a lot of weirder people think it is either. So,
agreed. It's a very weird way to look at it.
It just depends on who your quarterback is and what system you run. I need Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt so I can do play action pass with Baker Mayfield. So obviously, I mean, I think people get that. But next, I have the Colts. Not Jim Renner. What's his name? Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay's bunch. All right. So their top needs, I have them. They need a corner. I believe they still have Xavier Rhodes and Pierre Desir, who Indianapolis is, I believe, is one of the only teams in the NFL that runs a zone defense. Like, they play mostly zone. Yep. And anyways, like I said, Pierre is getting old. He's going to be 30 next year, and Pierre Desir, and then Xavier Rhodes will be 32. So they could use a new corner. Obviously, they need a new quarterback. Right?
Russell Wilson. Anyway.
Russell Wilson.
Unfair. The only quarterback they have under contract going into next year is Jacob Eason. So, yes, they need a quarterback.
Jacob Eason is better than Jake Fromm, at least.
Very true.
Quarterback and wide receiver. They need skill positions. They need skill positions on the edge. They're good in the middle. I mean, DeForest Buckner coming to that defense this year was, at least for the first 10 games, was a game changer for them.
Biggest snub of the Pro Bowl. Just saying it.
Yeah, he kind of faded a little bit towards the end, but he was a big reason why they made the playoffs. And frankly, Phillip Rivers wasn't great, but I mean, he was okay.
Was consistent. He did what he needed to do. That game versus the Bills, I think, was my favorite game of the playoffs. The Colts Bills, when it went down to the wire.
Oh yeah, when Pascal dropped it and then didn't drop it. Zone.
Yeah.
All right, go on.
Anyways,
the Colts need a quarterback, and I don't know what pick they have. Once again, they are not in position like New England or someone like that to reach for a quarterback at 20. It's just.
Yeah, I think they're around the Browns, so I want to say they have 27, maybe 23, somewhere in there, 22, 21. They're somewhere in there. The Browns won an extra round, so they're before the Browns, so I want to say 20, 21. Anyway, I'm going to move
21.
Yep. So I'm going to move on to Minnesota, the Vikings. God, there is not a team that I hate more than not that I hate, but that I hate their situation for them more than the Vikings, because I do not see a world that you win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, but they just gave him another extension. So he's their guy. So what do they need to do so he can game manage and get those garbage time touchdowns to keep him competitive? Well, they need some pass rushers. they need some pass rushers to really get their defense back to where it was a couple of years ago. They need offensive linemen to let him get extra time so that Justin Jefferson can run his route. And they need a safety. They really need to bring Anthony Harris back. I think he's a Viking, right? He was a Viking?
Yes.
They need to bring him back and potentially get another guy.
The only thing I have to say about it is the Vikings is Justin Herbert had a great season. The rookie of the year should have absolutely went to Justin Jefferson.
Yes and no. I mean, I get it.
I mean, Justin Jefferson performed in the top 5% of wide receivers in the league this year. So, okay. Whatever. That's bad for you. Okay. So I got the Miami Dolphins next. They need – this is all assuming they have Tua quarterback right now because everything changes if Deshaun comes because, once again, not only is Deshaun there, it is also Miami. So it becomes more of a hot spot. But they need a wide receiver, running back, and a linebacker. They have a lot of good young core guys. You saw that this year with that. I mean, they were pretty good. And it seems like what's his name? What's his coach's name?
Xavier Howard. Oh, Brian Flores.
Yeah, Brian Flores. I mean, they have one. They probably have They have one of the better corner duos down there in Miami. And you just said his name, Xavier Howard. And is it Byron Jones or is it
Byron Jones? They just signed last year. Yeah.
Yeah, Byron Jones. So they're good right there, but I fear if not fear, but I would expect if Deshaun Watson does go to Miami, and either way I think even with Tua there, I think Miami's going to be a hot spot.
Yeah, I actually have been hearing multiple reports that they could potentially land Allen Robinson and Aaron Jones. So talk about you hitting the nail right on the head with their needs. Those are the reports that those are their top guys.
Then if I'm them, then you go all in and you trade for Deshaun Watson. If you can get those two guys.
So the only problem with that is the salary cap, because if you bring in Watson, you won't be able to get both of them.
Then you don't need both of them. I just don't understand why people don't understand that Deshaun Watson is a top 7 quarterback in the league, and he is 24. Like, you have to understand that. I mean, I would 2 years ago on the Browns, I would have traded the whole team, yes, for him. So I think the Deshaun Watson thing this offseason has been underplayed so far. He is the biggest free agent to ever hit the market in any sport, or not free agent, but basically be open for trading in any sport in such a long time because of how young he is and how important the quarterback position is.
Yeah, and because of how talented and skilled he is. Because he literally did everything. Like the 4 games that they won,
for that offense.
The 4 games that they won was all because of Deshaun Watson. There was no one else you can say he really helped Deshaun. No, it was all Deshaun Watson playing his heart out for a 4-win season. Get him out of there.
Yeah. I got Jacksonville. They some of their biggest needs are corner, a quarterback, which will be handled with, and it's end. So I think they have 2 first-round picks. So obviously Pitts won't follow them, but it would be nice for them to get a guy like
Baby Gronk, Pat Freiermuth.
Who's that? No one cares. No. Who's the dude from Minnesota?
Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, they could get Rashad Bateman to go with him. I think Rashad Bateman is very good, so you can laugh all you want.
Like Rashad. No. I'm a very big fan. I have him going 15 though to the Pats, but I am a big fan of Rashad Bateman.
Is Jalen Waddle still on your board if he's going 15 to the Pats? Because there's no way in hell Rashad Bateman's going before Jalen Waddle.
No. Waddle went top 10, I think, for me last time I looked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, they could update, get a corner partner for Henderson, CJ Henderson or Anderson.
Henderson, you're right.
Yep. Yeah, CJ Henderson. And like I said, I think they'll take care of the receiving version in the draft along with the quarterback version in the draft. And then at that point, if you're Jacksonville, you pretty much stand pat if I'm them, other than young guys that look like they could have a high ceiling in the future that are getting cheap deals right now for long term. That's other than that, I'd stay away from free agency if I were them.
I think CJ Uzomah might be a free agent, and that's a sneaky guy that could potentially be very good in the right system with a good quarterback.
He's a really good blocker too.
Very good, yeah. I'm going to go to the pitiful Lions. The three things that they need the most. Number one is a plan, because they don't really seem like they have a plan going into this offseason. So I don't even know who the new head coach is, but he's got to come up with something, come up with a scheme, come up with who he wants to go target. They need a plan. Kenny Golladay should be their number one target in free agency, retaining him. Like I said earlier, probably via franchise tag if need be, because Goff needs as many weapons as possible. So having him with Kenny G and TJ Hawkinson is going to be really nice for Goff to kind of get adjusted. And then they need everything on defense because Matt Patricia built terrible defenses. So they need everything. They're in a rebuild stage as usual, much like the Jets. And they really just need a plan going forward.
Yeah, they do. The Lions, yeah, I mean, interesting up there. But I have the Patriots next. And the Patriots is weird because, A, I've never used to them actually being bad. And, B, they had, I think, the most players of any team in the NFL that opted out of the season.
Yes.
Because no one likes Belichick. Again, we're trying to hammer the fact home, folks, that players don't like Bill Belichick. Yeah, they need a wide receiver. They need edge threats. I don't know how they get that other than the one time they got Randy Moss. Bill Belichick's never done that. Honestly, the Patriots need everything too. The Patriots need everything too, and it's now come to a point where Tom Brady has shown that a lot of the shit that went on in New England was because of Tom Brady. I mean, they can't just like Bill Belichick can't go into the draft and draft some white slot guy from Minnesota State in the 6th round, and even if he is good, they need actual high end talent, and nobody wants to play for Belichick. So they're going to strike out in free agency, I would think. And so, I mean, they need everything. But yeah.
God, I can't wait for this. I have a couple more extra than you, so I'm going to take 2 here if you don't mind. Because number 1 is going to be the reigning champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only thing I have for them, literally, is stability. They need to bring as many people back this year as they can and get ready to run it back. So they just need stability, and Arians is going to find a way to do that. The next team I have on here is the Saints. Obviously, they're in need of a quarterback. Money issues is going to make it hard for them to kind of go land a big name free agent quarterback because I think they're like $100 million in debt until Drew Brees renegotiated a contract. So now they have 24 extra mil, but they're still 70 mil or 74 mil in debt. So they're going to have to go and just go get Jameis Winston again, I think, because he'll sign for a minimum deal and get his money later. Other than that, I think they need some interior O-linemen to give him some extra time, open some holes for Kamara when he rushes instead of the screenplays. And then defensive line, mainly the interior, because I think that Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport and actually they could focus on bringing back Trey Hickerson because he actually had a very good season this year. So just D-line as a whole, just to keep some type of pass rush to take some of the pressure off your secondary.
All right. I have 4 left. I'll just do them all right now. For the Ravens, it'll be another interesting offseason for the Ravens. They have a ton of guys that either are going to hit the market, could hit the market, things like that. But I have them needing mostly is an edge rusher and a tight end. I don't know why I put tight end. I think I'm about to put something else because Mark Andrews is probably the best catching tight end other than George Kittle in the league. I think I probably meant receiver. Yeah. Oh, they meant receiver. I meant receiver to write down receiver. So I don't know there, but yeah, they need edge rushers. They're set. They need, like I said, they need receivers. They need edge rushers, but other than that, they're pretty much set. They could use a safety upgrade. But Baltimore is the type of – they're almost like New England where they're going to stick to whatever spot they're drafting, and they're going to just literally draft the best player possible most of the time defensively. But, yeah, so that's the Ravens. Then the Steelers – I mean, I don't even know what to expect with the Steelers. I'm doing this one thinking that Ben is coming back because I don't think he's going to retire, and I just don't think he has the – I don't think he can play anywhere else but Pittsburgh. So offensive tackle, corner, and running back. Joe Hayden's old. They need to get an actual corner out there. For Pittsburgh, one of these next 2 or 3 years, or 1 to 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to finally sit down and like blow it up, not blow it up, but slowly take it down and build it back up. Because, I mean, other than their young receivers and TJ Watt, I mean, they're old. They're just old. So,
yeah, the one thing I will say about the Steelers, they actually have a very nice offensive line depth. So I don't know if they particularly need offensive line unless their tackles are pretty poor. But they do have some young guys on their bench that could slot right in when people leave. And I agree wholeheartedly about the running back because James Conner is not it, Chief. That guy is garbage. Anyway.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, he is nowhere. Yeah, I mean, he's not garbage, but, I mean, he's like Jerome Bettis, except a lot worse than Jerome Bettis.
Very true. I'll give you that.
You can go ahead.
All right, so I'll go on 3 or 4 here because I got 6 left. Carolina, quarterback potentially? I like Teddy Bridgewater, and if they end up trading for Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson, and they don't trade Teddy Bridgewater, if I'm the Jets, that's a guy I'd rather go get. So they could potentially need a quarterback upgrade if they don't want to go all in on him. A cornerback 1 to replace James Bradbury. I've been saying it for now an entire season. They really need him. Offensive line to get McCaffrey some extra time to find a hole, and a tight end to give Bridgewater another option or whoever's the quarterback. Then I'm going to move down to Atlanta. They need some secondary help, whether it's corner or safety, because their guys are either old or not playing well at all because their defense was atrocious.
Talk about a dude who has career like basically just went downhill after like 2 years ago. I mean, Trufant was the next coming. Trufant was the next coming of Darrelle Revis. And he was very good for like 2 years, and then then offenses started attacking his side of the field, and he got exposed. Yeah, I mean, he played. I believe. I believe he plays in the slot now. So.
Yeah. So corner, safety, the same thing. Keanu Neal fell off a cliff. They need some line.
Another guy.
Need some linebackers because Deion Jones is the only young talent you have on the linebacking core there, and then some linemen because it was also atrocious to watch. And then I'm going to do another one with Seattle because it'll be quick. With Russell Wilson coming out and saying that he hates getting hit, they have 4 needs: linemen, and then a linebacker, and potentially cover safety if you want to let Jamal Adams be Jamal Adams, but because he's basically a linebacker, so you need either a linebacker or a cover safety. But yeah, you need to invest in some O-line so that Russell Wilson does not leave.
Yeah, I think yes, that's true. And still, I think he could leave anyways. And I think we talked about sport, but I think this is kind of what we talked about earlier with Levante David. I think the NFL is turning more to, instead of that 4th linebacker, they're turning it into more of a big safety, guys like Derwin James. Not big. Matthew's not big enough, but he can do it. He's strong enough and has the awareness to do it. So, but Jamal
if you're going to use Jamal
Adams
Adams as a linebacker, then you need a cover safety because.
And honestly, I think that's where Jamal Adams is best at.
Yep, I agree.
He's not fast enough to stay with the big guys on the outside, but he can handle tight ends and running backs probably about as well as anybody else in the league. So,
yep, agree.
All right, so I'll just finish mine out. I think I have Houston and Tennessee. Houston is just, I mean, I don't know what they need a quarterback probably. I have a question mark next to that. They need help on the interior line. They need help everywhere defensively, but most on the corner and the edge. I've been hearing more and more that J.J. Watt wants out. I don't know if he'll ever be the guy that has the balls to go ask for it formally, so I think he sticks around. But Houston just needs everything. This is the sad story of a man who got too much power and abused that power, and now is the offensive coordinator at Alabama. But it needs to be like absolutely torn down from the very end of it to everything. They're basically a new franchise again, like they were in 2000.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee, they really need to look defensively. They could also use a slot receiver because Corey Davis is a little too big for me to play in the slot. So they could address that. I mean, if Rondale Moore fell to them in the second round somewhere, I mean, I'd pick him up. Or even if maybe in the first round if you want him. But they really need help on defense. They need interior defensive lineman help. They need edge help, and they need corner help. Adoree Jackson did not have a good year. He seems to be trending more and more like the guy we just talked about, Desmond Trufant, than, say, a Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, I would say, is trending up.
So I agree. All right, I'm going to close out here. I got 3 teams. First one's Arizona. You need a clear-cut wide receiver, too. I love Christian Kirk, but he's not a 2, and he's more as a slot. Yeah, and Larry's retiring, so getting a guy who could be a little more consistent than a Christian Kirk, or another guy.
If they could get Godwin or Robinson, that would I would, and then maybe they have Kenny and Drake now, but if they could upgrade him a little bit or he got better, I mean that would be the best offense in the NFC. Yeah,
well, and Drake might get let go because I don't think they want to bring him back, but Edmonds was way more productive than Drake was when he played. So even if you just go and get Robinson or Godwin, that's the scariest offense to play against in the NFL. Adding some O-line to give Kyler some added time so he doesn't get hurt like he did at the end of the season is definitely going to be a priority for them. And then a young linebacker, because all of their linebacking core is 28 or older, I believe. Maybe one of them's younger.
How old's Hassan Reddick?
Maybe he's the one I'm thinking of. I don't know.
He's younger. Yeah, I know he's younger.
Hassan Reddick is
26.
26. Okay. Maybe I was a little off with the number there. Yeah, he's 26.
All right, get through your next 2.
I'm going. San Francisco, personally, for me, I think they need to upgrade their quarterback.
1 minute.
I think they need to upgrade their quarterback. Getting
San Francisco?
San Francisco. I don't like Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're going to trade him back to New England, honestly. And I've been saying that ever since we started talking free agency. They need a true wide receiver 1 because they have a bunch of wide receiver 2s or 1Bs. So I think they need a really big physical guy to be the wide receiver 1. Interior linemen to open up the holes for the offense.
Samuel would be a great wide receiver 2.
He will, and he's going to be because I think that they're going to also go for a guy like Allen Robinson. So, and then interior lineman there. And then the last team is the Rams. They need linemen to protect Stafford to give him something that he's never had in his career. And then potentially a wide receiver 1, even though they have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, but maybe another guy, unless Van Jefferson progresses, and maybe a linebacker just because their defense is already so good. I don't even know.
All right, guys.
So
that'll do it for our free agency part 1. Next week we will get into more free agency, but I really have to go to the bathroom. So, Tom, any last words?
Let's go, Dogs, baby. Let's go.
I'll text you. I have to get off. I'll text you.
Yep, sounds good.
Later.